You've arrived. This moment marks the beginning of something monumental, a subtle yet profound shift that signals the early stages of your breakthrough. The journey up to now has been laying the foundation, but tomorrow is where the energy starts to crystallize. If you overlook what's about to unfold, this entire season of transformation could slip past unnoticed. This isn't just preparation anymore, this is the real deal. You're not approaching your winning season from a distance. You're not hoping for it, yearning for it, or waiting on the sidelines. You are living it, breathing it, and stepping into its rhythm even if the full picture hasn't revealed itself yet. For so long, you may have believed that you were being delayed, overlooked, or kept in shadows. That sense of stagnation was never punishment. It was purposeful alignment, a deliberate orchestration designed to position you exactly where you need to be. Every pause, every waiting period, every moment of feeling unseen was a precise calibration. The universe was not working against you. It was strategically preparing you, strengthening your foundations, sharpening your insight, and deepening your resilience. And now that waiting period has come to an end. The barriers that once seemed insurmountable have shifted, the gate has opened, and even if the transformation isn't fully visible to your eyes yet, the atmosphere surrounding you has undeniably changed. If you've been seeking a clear sign, a tangible confirmation that the intuition, the pull, and the energy you've been sensing is real, tomorrow brings that clarity. August 7th is the day the signals begin to emerge. They may come subtly, in ways that only you can recognize if you are spiritually awake and attuned. Pay attention because these signs are not just random occurrences, they are confirmations that your trajectory has shifted, that your season has arrived, and that the universe is fully aligned with your growth. When these signs begin to appear, understand that they won't make sense to anyone else. This rise you are stepping into isn't meant to be understood through the lens of conventional logic or societal expectation. In fact, your progress will appear uncanny, inexplicable, and unfair to the outside world. You won't follow the expected steps. Ladders won't need climbing, and milestones will seem as though they appeared out of nowhere. Others will try to dissect your journey, to trace your blueprint, but there isn't one. Your ascent defies standard timelines. This is the nature of chosen ones. They disrupt the rules, they rewrite the patterns, and they elevate in ways that challenge comprehension. You didn't break the rules. The rules simply fracture beneath your weight, making way for a reality that aligns with your energy. Now you are being offered opportunities that might not make sense to those who worship struggle. This is the universe rewarding the power you've held quietly, the strength you've nurtured in silence, and the patience you've cultivated while you remained unseen. It will look unexpected, inexplicable, even unfair to anyone observing from the outside, and that is exactly how it is meant to appear. What is coming is not merely personal achievement or recognition. It is a prophetic shift. This is not a superficial glow-up. It is an elevation that transcends visibility, a transformation that alters the very frequency of your existence. This season isn't about acquiring more. It's about becoming less accessible on every level, spiritually, emotionally, energetically. This is not arrogance. It is an inevitable consequence of outgrowing resonance. You'll start noticing a subtle dissonance in your environment. Conversations that once felt rich may now feel hollow. The energy of people around you might not land as it used to. You may be in a crowded room and yet feel a profound sense of detachment. This is not loneliness. This is spiritual altitude. You haven't become better than those around you. You've simply shifted your frequency. You're no longer broadcasting on the same wavelength. And that is exactly the protection the universe is providing. You are not being shielded by obscurity. You are being elevated to operate above interference, beyond noise, and beyond distraction. This isn't about visibility or seeking recognition. This is about rising into a space where you can operate unbothered, aligned, and uninterrupted. You are being prepared to engage with life, opportunities, and influence from a vantage point that few will understand, but that is perfectly suited to your growth. The world may not comprehend it, and that's the point. You are stepping into a realm where your power can flourish without friction, where your presence commands transformation simply by existing. You are being positioned to thrive not through struggle or visibility, but through intentional elevation and spiritual sovereignty. This is your season. Your altitude shift is underway. The signals will arrive, the opportunities will present themselves, and your transformation will unfold with a momentum that cannot be stopped. Embrace it. Stand firm in it. You are not approaching your destiny, you are living it, and what is coming next is beyond explanation, beyond expectation, and undeniably yours. Before we move ahead in the video, I want to let you know that if you've gained even a little value from my efforts, please consider donating through Super Thanks or via PayPal. It really helps motivate and inspire us to keep going. This is the way you move through life and remain in flow without losing your energy, without being drained by the chaos or expectations of others. This is the way you are designed to lead, from a space beyond the noise, beyond the pressure to perform, beyond the need to prove yourself to anyone. And the most fascinating part is how the world begins to respond to your presence in ways you can't always explain. People sense something different about you, something they cannot name, a frequency you're now operating on. They feel it instinctively, even if they don't understand it. And that's only the beginning. What's coming next is far more extraordinary, almost surreal. You are not merely anticipating the future, you are already walking in it. You will begin to notice patterns that seem uncanny. Conversations around you, the ideas people are exploring, the truths they are realizing. They will echo the insights, instincts, and visions you've held for years. At first, this can feel unsettling, even frustrating, as if the world is waking up late to a discussion you've long since moved past. But this is not a coincidence, nor is it a misalignment. This is a confirmation. You were never mistaken. You were never imagining things. You were simply ahead of your time. You were early. And this is what it truly means to live in your winning season. The world begins to catch up to the version of yourself that has already done the thinking, felt the visions, and embraced the ideas that no one else could see yet. This is why you've often felt misunderstood, out of place, even isolated. Your insights arrived before the world was ready, and every time you expressed your vision too soon, it met resistance or confusion. Every word you shared before the timing was right allowed others to wrestle with or misinterpret your energy before it was fully realized. This is why silence, strategic silence, becomes an essential tool in the season of your life. It is not born out of fear or hesitation. It is born from wisdom and alignment. Not everything sacred is meant to be spoken out loud. Not every victory requires a headline. Not every plan or blueprint needs another set of eyes to validate it. As you step further into your winning season, the temptation to reveal everything can be intense. You may feel the urge to shout it, to prove yourself, to show everyone that you were never mistaken, that you have been quietly building something monumental behind the scenes. But here lies the trap. The moment you share your vision with unaligned ears, you invite delays, distortions, and energy that can shift the trajectory of your growth. And it's not just naysayers you need to be cautious of. Sometimes even those who love you most, who mean well, simply cannot comprehend the frequency you are operating on. Their intentions may be pure, but their energy can inadvertently obstruct your momentum. This is why privacy becomes your greatest form of protection in this phase. Guard what you are manifesting. Protect what you are building. Hold your ideas close to your chest until they are fully ready to unfold. Your path is unique, coded, and meticulously designed for you, and trying to explain it to others too soon will only dilute your power and drain your energy. By remaining discreet, you allow your vision to grow without interference, to solidify without compromise, and to launch with the force and clarity it was always meant to have. This is not secrecy born of shame, it is sovereignty. This is not hiding, this is elevation. This is how you step into your season without losing yourself, without allowing the energy of others to disrupt the alignment that has taken years to cultivate. You are moving in a way that honors your timing, your intuition, and the power of your silent strategy. And when the world finally witnesses what you have created, it will see not just success, but mastery, a manifestation that is inevitable because it was built in alignment, in silence, and in the unseen depth of your preparation. Even more challenging is the way well-meaning voices can slip in, disguising interference as concern. Are you sure this is the right move? Maybe you should wait a little longer. That feels risky. On the surface, these words sound caring, but they're coming from a timeline that isn't yours. They are projecting the limitations of their own pace onto your acceleration. Their hesitation isn't meant to harm you. Yet if you allow it to influence your momentum, it can slow the natural flow of your progress. This is where understanding the difference between silence and secrecy becomes essential. Silence is not hiding, it is sovereignty. You are not concealing your vision because you lack confidence. You are preserving its integrity. You are not responsible for explaining every step to the world. The universe doesn't need a preview. It only requires that your impact lands fully formed, undeniable, and complete. Your responsibility is to yourself, to the culmination of your vision, not to the opinions or comfort of others. And when what you've been building finally manifests, It will speak volumes without a single word from you. The clarity of your energy will communicate more powerfully than any explanation ever could. As your frequency rises, something inevitable begins to occur. Your energy sharpens, your focus locks into place, and your presence becomes unmistakable. In this phase, you no longer blend into the background. You begin to make others uncomfortable, not because you have changed in intention, but because your presence acts as a mirror. Mirrors never lie. They simply reflect truth. You will notice it happening in subtle ways. Those who once celebrated your growth may shift or withdraw. Conversations may carry tension where there was none before. You may hear things like, "You've changed, you seem distant," or "Do you think you're better than us?" These reactions are not attacks, they are reflections. Your light exposes what others have avoided within themselves. Your discipline highlights their lack of commitment. Your growth stands as a quiet reminder of their stagnation. Your peace may feel provocative to those who are accustomed to chaos, and the most profound aspect is this: you do not even need to act. You could enter a room and remain completely silent, yet your energy alone will speak volumes. Your frequency is louder than words, more undeniable than any statement. But hear this clearly: this is not a signal to retreat. It is not a call to dim your light to make others comfortable. You are not responsible for how your growth, your discipline, or your clarity make someone else feel about their own shadows. This season demands that you remain luminous, even when others flinch at the brightness. The ones who are aligned with your energy will adjust and step into it. The ones who cannot will step away, not because you push them, but because your energy refused to bend to accommodate their illusions. And that is exactly as it should be. Your energy is triggering exactly what it is supposed to. Think back to the moments when you doubted everything. The moments when it seemed like life had passed you by, leaving opportunities to others while doors closed in your face before you could even knock. In those moments, it was easy to believe something was wrong with you, that your timing was off, that perhaps you had missed your chance at the level of breakthrough your spirit had been whispering about all along. It felt like you were walking through life in slow motion, observing others build, rise, and advance while you were still trying to orient yourself, still trying to discern which direction even qualified as forward. But none of that was a mistake, and none of that was failure. Everything was waiting for the exact alignment of your frequency, for the moment when your energy was ready to meet the opportunities prepared specifically for you. The delays, the doubts, the seasons of seeming stillness, they were all part of the orchestration that positioned you perfectly for what's next. This is your time to step fully into that frequency, to move unapologetically in your power, to trust the rhythm of your rise, and to honor the sovereignty of your journey. The world will adjust, or it will fall away. Neither outcome diminishes your impact. Neither outcome affects the inevitability of your breakthrough. The pressure to explain, the temptation to seek validation, the urge to accommodate others, all of it must be released. What you are creating, what you are becoming, does not require permission, approval, or acknowledgement from anyone else. It only requires alignment with yourself and commitment to your truth. But now everything is shifting. Looking back, the patterns are becoming clear. What once felt like delays, obstacles, or setbacks is starting to reveal itself as divine redirection, intentional detours designed to guide you toward a more precise and elevated alignment. You didn't miss anything. Every pause, every closed door, every moment of seeming stagnation was part of a greater timing, one that could only meet you at the exact vibration you were always meant to reach, a frequency that you couldn't have sustained before. You weren't losing time, you were gaining stability. You weren't yet ready to carry the fullness of what you asked for, not because you lacked the ability, but because the foundation underneath you wasn't yet fortified. So yes, there were moments when it seemed like life slowed down, but it wasn't a punishment. It was protection. The version of your future that was waiting for you would have collapsed under the weight of an unhealed, unprepared self. Every relationship that drifted away, every opportunity that didn't materialize, every rejection, detour, or door that remained closed. It was all divine choreography, a meticulous orchestration of timing and energy that ensured you would arrive fully equipped for what was meant for you. And here's the most powerful part. The time you thought was wasted, it never disappeared. It was stored, accumulated, and refined. It was stored as potential, as preparation, as spiritual credit that the universe has been building up on your behalf. Every quiet, lonely, or unacknowledged season was not wasted. It was the prelude to your arrival. Now, all of that stored energy, all of that spiritual currency, is coming back to you with interest. The momentum you are beginning to feel isn't luck. It isn't coincidence. It is a return, a payout, a response from the universe for the patience, the endurance, and the faith you maintained when no one else could see your path. Those who assumed you were behind or stuck or waiting for luck to find you, they're about to realize they were mistaken. You weren't behind at all. You were being positioned, aligned, and fortified for something so monumental that it couldn't have arrived any sooner. You weren't born to simply cheer for others. You weren't born to quietly fade into the background. You were born to be undeniable, impossible to ignore. For too long, you've been the one clapping in the shadows. You've been the support system, the steady hand, the quiet force holding it down while others shine in the spotlight. You did this with love because that's who you are, loyal, giving, steady. But deep down, there has always been a whisper inside you, a quiet knowing that said, "This is temporary. I wasn't sent here just to observe." And now that whisper is becoming a roar. That quiet anticipation, that inner restlessness, is evolving into a forceful declaration of your presence. This is no longer a season of witnessing or waiting. This is your season, the one where the light turns toward you. Not because you forced it, not because you begged for recognition, but because your energy has grown too powerful, too magnetic, too radiant to go unnoticed. People will feel it even if they cannot explain it. They will watch, they will take notice, and they will sense that something has changed in you. You are stepping into your moment, your momentum, your power, and it will arrive fully, undeniably, and on time, just as it was always meant to. They will watch you closely. They will observe every move, every choice, every subtle shift in your energy. Some may even try to imitate you, to replicate the aura that has always felt untouchable, and at first, it might feel strange. You are accustomed to being in the background, to playing the quiet role, the one who is often overlooked, underestimated, or unseen. That was your preparation, your quiet training ground. But now everything is different. You are no longer the one waiting in the shadows. You are the presence that stops the room, the energy that commands attention simply by existing in it. The truth is, you were never designed to blend in. You were never meant to play a supporting role in a story. You were always meant to lead. You are the living plot twist, the unforeseen turn of events that others have been praying to witness, the emergence that changes the trajectory of everything around you. Your rise is not just for your own triumph. It is permission for others to awaken to their own potential. When people witness you stepping fully into your light, owning your power without apology, they are reminded that it is safe for them to do the same. This is not about ego or self-indulgence. It is about embodiment. You are not taking the spotlight away from anyone else. You are the spotlight because the totality of your experiences, your pain, your perseverance, your patience, your endurance, and your relentless pursuit of growth have coalesced into a force that cannot be ignored. You have been sitting in the audience, quietly observing, quietly preparing. Now it is your time to take the stage, to stand fully visible, fully unapologetic, fully yourself. And when you do, the world will not only watch, it will remember. This is not simple growth. This is spiritual mutation. If your younger self were to enter the room today, they would not recognize you. And this goes far beyond appearance, confidence, or skill. This is deeper. This is energetic, spiritual, cellular. You did not merely evolve or mature. You transformed at a core level. You rewrote your spiritual DNA. You reshaped the blueprint of who you are, dismantling every limitation that had been written into your past. And it was not easy. Every wound you endured, every disappointment you silently absorbed, every moment you doubted yourself or wondered if you would ever get it right, each of those moments became part of the new structure upon which you now stand. You no longer think the same way. You no longer move the same way. You no longer desire the same things. What once consumed you, what once seemed essential, now passes by without power over you. The triggers that used to derail, you no longer hold sway. And those who continue to interact with the outdated version of you find themselves disconnected, confused, or misaligned because that person no longer exists. You have not simply changed. You have outgrown the mold that was never meant to contain you. This evolution comes with its own sense of reverence, even grief. It is not sorrow for who you have become, but acknowledgement and respect for the version of yourself you had to release. The younger you, the one who doubted, who held back, who feared taking up space, serve a sacred purpose. They carried you to this point. But they cannot travel with you any longer. This is a season of full embodiment, of walking in the new architecture of your being without apology, without compromise. You were never meant to remain recognizable to your past self or to others who knew you before. That was never the goal. The goal was evolution, transcendence, and stepping fully into the force of your true self, a presence that can never be overlooked again. This is the kind of transformation that renders you untraceable to anyone who only knew you through the lens of your past pain or trauma. Those who try to measure you by your history won't recognize the force you have become. Honor the journey that brought you here, but do not cling to the past simply because it feels familiar or safe. You have outgrown the identity that once defined you, because you were always meant to become something far beyond what your younger self could have ever imagined. This is not betrayal or abandonment of your origins. It is proof. Proof that you persevered, proof that you did the work, proof that the prophecy written into your spirit is manifesting, not just in theory, but in tangible, undeniable reality. If it feels a little lonely at this new altitude, that is because you are no longer walking with the version of yourself that sought validation from others. You are walking as the version that already knows. You have become the person you once prayed someone else would be, the living embodiment of the faith, strength, and clarity you once longed to find outside yourself. Right before every elevation, there is almost always a confrontation. This is not superstition or coincidence. This is a spiritual pattern, predictable and precise. Chosen ones often face a sudden emotional, mental, or spiritual hit just before they ascend to their next level. It is not a punishment, it is a necessary clearing. At first, it may feel like an attack, as though the universe or the people around you are attempting to pull you down just as you find your rhythm. This confrontation may appear as betrayal from someone you trusted, an unexpected loss, an intense surge of doubt, or old wounds resurfacing without warning. It might feel as if you are slipping backward, as if the ground beneath you is unstable, but this is not regression. You are meeting the final threshold, the test designed to separate what no longer serves you from what belongs to the new level you are stepping into. Think of it as a spiritual exam. The universe already knows you are prepared for what is coming. The confrontation exists to reveal to you just how ready you are. When that fear is triggered, when that boundary is challenged, when that old pattern arises, something extraordinary happens. Your response shifts. Where you once reacted from pain, you now act from power. Where you once shrank in fear or uncertainty, you now expand in presence. Where you once chased peace or validation, you now embody peace itself. And in that moment, the confrontation no longer feels like resistance. It becomes confirmation. Confirmation that you are prepared, that you have arrived at the next stage of your spiritual and personal evolution, and that nothing from your past can hold you back from stepping fully into your destined life. The trials are not obstacles. They are signposts, guiding you toward the reality you were always meant to inhabit. This is why you cannot panic when it all shows up, the moment when it feels like the ground beneath you is cracking, when chaos erupts seemingly out of nowhere, when every challenge, every opposition, every force that once held you back now appears to be targeting you with relentless intensity. That is the signal. That is the unmistakable cue that you have leveled up. That is the universe whispering, sometimes shouting, that you are stepping into a space reserved only for those who have endured, persisted, and evolved beyond what most could survive. And the only task left is to prove it. To prove it not with words, not with explanations, not with seeking validation, but by standing unshakable, by holding your frequency steady when everything around you is attempting to pull you into fear, doubt, or reaction. Do not internalize the drama. Do not take the attacks personally. The chaos is not about you. It is about the old forces trying to measure the new version of yourself, the forces that once thrived on your confusion, your hesitation, your fear. They are testing, yes, but not to break you. They are testing to reveal that you are ready, to reveal that the time has come to hold your power in full view without compromise. The moment is never gentle, because graduation rarely comes with a fanfare before the fact. Resistance always precedes elevation. Before you can step into your rightful space, the universe will challenge you. Before the crown can rest on your head, you will face trials designed to measure whether your spirit is prepared to wear it. These forces, these tests, cannot survive the clarity you are learning to embody. And the roles you once played, the roles that were convenient for other people's stories, will no longer fit because your narrative is now your OWN. And so when it feels like the final boss is coming for you, the opposition is closing in, and the weight of expectation, doubt, and old trauma surrounds you, do not shrink. Do not flinch. Smile quietly to yourself because you're not being tested for weakness. You are being tested because you're next. Your entrance has already been prepared. The stage has already been constructed. The spotlight has already been illuminated. Everything that needs to be ready for your arrival is in place. The only thing left is for you to step forward. You were never designed to fit the story that was written for you. You were never meant to blend into a script that was constructed from limitations and constraints, from outdated rules and inherited fears. You were born to end cycles, to disrupt patterns, to rewrite narratives that had been considered unchangeable. You were never supposed to become what everyone else expected. And let's be honest, the soil you came from was never fertile enough to grow someone like you. The systems, the family structures, the schools, the culture, the city, the environment, all that was designed to maintain repetition. It was designed to recycle limitations, to pass down fear and pain under the guise of tradition or survival. And yet you grew. You emerged. You rose. You were the glitch in the code. You were the exception. You were the one who dared to question the unquestionable, to examine what everyone else simply accepted. You saw through the masks, through the illusions, through the lies that others were told to believe. You didn't rebel out of spite or defiance. You refused to compromise your spirit because deep inside, something knew that there was another way, a higher path, a destiny beyond what was prescribed for you. And because of this, you were misunderstood. Because of this, you were labeled difficult, awkward, overly sensitive, or too stubborn. But they missed the truth entirely. You were different by design. You were built for more than what they could see. You were designed to thrive where others would crumble. You were designed to carve your own path where no road existed, to trust the voice inside that spoke louder than any external guidance, louder than any expectation, louder than any pressure to conform. Every closed door you encountered was a lesson. Every rejection, every disappointment, every no you received taught you to create your own doors. Every silent room, every space where your brilliance went unnoticed, every moment of isolation taught you to trust your inner voice, to honor your own intuition, to rely on the internal compass that would never fail you. You weren't raised to be ready for this world as it is. You were raised to remember who you are, where you are going, and what you came here to change. You were placed into systems that were not built to support you, so that you could grow into someone who no longer requires external validation to know their worth. You were trained to walk into life carrying your own light, even when no one else noticed it, even when no one else applauded it. This season you are stepping into is not just about the blessings, the opportunities, the recognition, the wealth, or the visibility that are beginning to manifest. Those are only part of the story. This season is about recognizing the miracle of your own survival. It's about seeing clearly that everything you endured, the pain, the heartbreak, the isolation, the moments of confusion, and the moments where it seemed like life was moving forward without you, was part of the process that has shaped you into someone capable of sustaining the magnitude of what is now arriving. You did not have guidance. You did not have a roadmap. You did not have applause. You built yourself. You constructed your identity from fragments, from faith, from intuition, from sheer resilience. And now all that labor, all that unseen effort, all that inner work is converging to reveal the force you were always meant to be. When the world seems to turn against you, when the opposition intensifies, when the chaos seems more personal than ever, that is your cue to stay steady. That is your moment to anchor into your own power and not be distracted by the noise. The moment of resistance is not a punishment. It is confirmation. Confirmation that you are stepping into a space where your previous limitations can no longer follow you, where your clarity cannot be disrupted, where your energy is too refined, too high, too unstoppable for old patterns to remain. Where once you may have flinched or reacted, now you stand unshakable. Where once you may have doubted, now you trust implicitly. Where once you may have searched for peace, now you have become the embodiment of peace itself. And in this, the confrontation transforms from something fearful into something affirming. This is the essence of elevation, facing the resistance, feeling the pressure, encountering the chaos, and remaining rooted in your truth. It is the process by which your spirit learns that it cannot be shaken, that your power cannot be stolen, that your identity is not contingent on anyone else's approval or recognition. And when you emerge on the other side of this season, you will not only recognize the miracle of what you survived, you will witness the birth of someone entirely new, someone untraceable, someone impossible to ignore, someone whose presence transforms every space they enter simply by existing. The challenges of your past, the misunderstandings, the betrayals, the losses, the silence, the isolation, the lack of validation, all of it has prepared you for this moment. Every trial, every heartbreak, every late night of self-reflection and self-correction was part of a divine curriculum designed to forge your character, sharpen your focus, and amplify your frequency. The elevation you are stepping into is not just the result of luck or timing. It is the natural outcome of a life intentionally and courageously lived, a life that refused to accept mediocrity, that refused to settle, that refused to compromise the calling written into your soul. The stage has been set. The light has already been illuminated. The obstacles that once seemed insurmountable were never permanent. They were checkpoints, guides, and confirmations that you are ready. And now in this season, you are walking into a space where your presence matters, where your energy creates change, where your light is undeniable, and where your elevation inspires not just your own life, but the lives of those around you. You were always meant to be here, even when the world around you made it seem impossible. You were meant to rise, to shine, to disrupt, to transform, to end cycles, to awaken others, and to fulfill the purpose that your soul has carried since before you even understood what was. This is the moment to embrace fully, the moment to walk steadily, to hold your frequency, to stand in clarity, to embody power, to trust yourself without hesitation, and to recognize that the chaos, the resistance, the opposition, and the intensity are all indicators of your imminent breakthrough. You did not survive the storms to be diminished by them. You did not navigate the darkness to remain hidden. You did not overcome the obstacles only to shrink from your own light. This is your time, your season, your elevation. And everything you have endured is culminating here, now in real time, in ways that cannot be ignored, in ways that will be remembered forever. And somehow, against all odds, against all expectations, against every limitation that was ever placed in your path, you became the blueprint. You didn't just break the mold, you became the living proof that the mold was never real to begin with. That what everyone around you thought was the standard, the expected, the acceptable, was never the measure of your potential. You became evidence that the story written for others was never the story meant for you. You became the manifestation of what happens when a soul refuses to be contained, when a spirit refuses to shrink, when a consciousness refuses to compromise with the ordinary. While they were busy trying to make sense of you, trying to explain you in terms that fit their understanding, you were quietly, powerfully, deliberately breaking generational contracts, rewriting the unspoken agreements, and releasing patterns they didn't even know they were participating in. You ended timelines. You stopped cycles midstream that had been repeating unnoticed for decades. You disrupted spiritual agreements that had been running unchecked for generations, agreements that had subtly dictated the behaviors, limitations, and outcomes of those who came before you. And you didn't just survive the origin you were handed. You rewrote it entirely. Every limitation, every restriction, every story of lack and impossibility that you inherited, you transformed into a launchpad for something greater. You weren't loud about it. You weren't given recognition for it. Few saw the labor, the resistance, the invisible battles you fought. But it happened anyway, quietly, steadfastly, inevitably. And now, finally, the clarity is setting in. You begin to see that you were never meant to inherit a path, a story, or a narrative that was not aligned with your soul. You were never meant to walk the lines that were drawn for someone else. You were meant to reroute the path itself, to redesign the maps, to disrupt the patterns, to become the signal that something entirely new had arrived. That's why you never felt fully at home in the narratives that surrounded you. That's why, no matter how much you tried, you could never settle into the boxes, the roles, the expectations imposed upon you. It wasn't about arrogance. It wasn't about wanting to prove others wrong. It was about alignment. It was about honoring a knowing inside that told you that there was a higher, wider, more expansive version of yourself waiting to be revealed. You always felt the dissonance because it was real. Your spirit had been entrusted with a mission too vast, too essential, to be confined to the ordinary, and it knew it from the very beginning. This is why the seasons of feeling disconnected, of being misunderstood, of being labeled as different, difficult, too sensitive, or too ambitious were never punishments, they were preparation. They were the spiritual stretching, the energetic conditioning, the rehearsal for the role you were destined to play in this world. This is the season where you no longer carry shame for being the odd one out. You finally recognize that being the outlier, being misunderstood, being underestimated was not a flaw. It was the assignment. It was the role you were always meant to embody. You weren't sent here to blend in or to comply with mediocrity. You were sent here to end cycles that never should have been allowed to persist. You were sent to reroute patterns that were stuck in repetition. You were sent to challenge, to awaken, to disrupt. And now, as your consciousness expands and your frequency rises, the very things that once felt like obstacles, the isolation, the rejection, the lack of understanding, the moments of doubt, the moments where it seems as if no one else could see your vision, are now revealed to have been essential training. Every closed door, every quiet dismissal, every misunderstanding was part of the process that allowed you to become the person capable of standing in full power today. This is why this winning season isn't just about what is coming to you in terms of recognition, wealth, opportunities, or influence. That is only part of the story. This season is about what is finally coming from you, from the core of your being, from the depth of your experience, from the maturity of your spirit. It is about the power you've cultivated, the clarity you've honed, the identity you've reconstructed, and the realization that you were never just built different. You were built to be the difference. You are now walking as the embodiment of the change you were meant to initiate, the living manifestation of what happens when perseverance, self-trust, spiritual discipline, and relentless faith converge into one unstoppable force. And while this unfolds, the same people who once dismissed you, misunderstood you, or doubted you are watching with curiosity, confusion, and sometimes even unease. They notice the subtle changes in your presence, the unmistakable shift in your energy, the clarity with which you now navigate life. They sense that something in you has changed in ways they cannot fully articulate. But what they don't understand is that you didn't just evolve for yourself. You evolved in a way that redefines the possibilities for everyone around you. The impact of your transformation ripples far beyond your personal sphere. Every step you take, every boundary you set, every new standard you establish becomes a living example, a blueprint for others to follow, whether they consciously recognize it or not. You become a model of what happens when someone refuses to compromise with smallness. When someone refuses to let inherited trauma define their potential. When someone refuses to accept that life's limitations are permanent. You've shown that it is possible to honor the past, to respect the lessons it taught, without being chained to it, without letting it dictate your future. You've shown that survival alone is not the ultimate achievement. It is the transformation, the rewriting of narrative, the conscious elevation of self that matters. You didn't just overcome, you redefined what overcoming looks like. You didn't just walk through challenges, you reshaped the very fabric of the reality you inhabit. And this realization brings a deeper sense of peace, a stronger sense of alignment, and an unwavering confidence in your trajectory. The journey that once felt lonely or isolating now makes perfect sense. Every struggle, every late night, every setback, every moment when you questioned whether you were enough, those were the chisels that sculpted your spiritual architecture, the ingredients that fueled your internal alchemy. And the result is undeniable. You stand as someone who does not merely survive or adapt. You stand as someone who transforms, someone who catalyzes, someone who interrupts stagnation and activates potential wherever they go. This is why you no longer feel the need to seek validation, applause, or permission. Your sense of self is rooted in the truth of your journey, the authenticity of your growth, and the undeniable results of your labor. You no longer bend to fit narratives that were never written for you. You no longer adjust your brilliance to make others comfortable. You no longer shrink to avoid judgment. Your presence, your energy, your voice, your light, they are now aligned with the highest expression of who you were always meant to be. And in this alignment, there is a new freedom, a profound liberation, and a remarkable sense of purpose. So as you move through this season, know that the power you carry is not just personal, it is collective, transformative, and catalytic. It is proof that someone can rise beyond inherited limitations, that one can reroute history, and that true elevation is measured not by what others give you, but by what you activate and release into the world. This is not just a winning season in the conventional sense. This is a breakthrough of identity, consciousness, and purpose. You are not just receiving, you are becoming. And the world cannot help but take notice, whether through admiration, curiosity, envy, or inspiration. And if you're still watching, if you've stayed present with these words and absorbed their weight, I want to acknowledge you. Your attention is sacred. Your presence is valued. And if this message resonates, if it inspires, challenges, or empowers you, I invite you to engage. Click the subscribe button, share your thoughts in the comments, reflect on your experiences, and continue to participate in the unfolding of collective growth. Your support allows this conversation to continue, allowing the energy of transformation to reach far beyond this moment, expanding into spaces where it is needed most. Until the next time, carry this truth with you. You are not merely navigating a story that existed before you, you are rewriting it. You are not simply responding to life as it presents itself, you are actively reshaping reality through the clarity, power, and integrity of your presence. You are not born to follow. You are not born to conform. You were born to disrupt, to elevate, to awaken, and to lead by example. Every season of struggle, every experience of isolation, every challenge and betrayal, Every moment that tested your faith, endurance, and courage, all of it has led you here. And now, with your identity fully aligned, your energy undeniable, and your purpose illuminated, you are ready to be the difference you were always destined to embody.